nuclear applications. In fact, there are only two uses for plutonium. The relatively benign option is to use plutonium to fuel nuclear reactors. The scarier application is to use it for nuclear weapons. Scandium is another rare earth metal that has a high price due to its rarity. Because of its usefulness in aluminum alloys, scandium is one of the most highly traded metals on Earth. 1 gram of scandium will cost you at least $270. Now, this may not sound like much, but when you consider that globally 10 tons of scandium are traded per year, that quickly adds up to $2.7 billion annually. With prices like this, be glad that the jewelry you buy is made out of something as affordable as gold.
Right. Okay, now to the fun part. How to use precious. Let's see how they used. Let's go. There we go.
Precious metals, rare, beautiful, and all around us. Precious metals are well known for their investment value as a worldwide currency commodity, as well as their beauty.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. It's good to be back in here again for another one. Healthy Mental Thursday, as you can see down here at the bottom. You know what time it is. So I'm going to get y'all motivated real quick. I'm already a couple seconds behind, so we ain't going to delay. Let's get it in today. All right, let's go. Motivation for relationships. All right, here we go. Let's get something good. Let's see what my man's talking about.
You sent in a proposal, but your manager has so many questions.
You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies, but the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how could you ever love me?
Yes, sir.
And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good, and even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would, so what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that?
Yes, sir.
Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend who noticed that I was quick to defend her when she would say something negative about herself. She would say, "I'm so dumb," and I'd say, "You're so brilliant." She'd say, "I'm so weak," and I'd say, "You're so resilient." And when she said, "I feel ugly," and I said, "You look beautiful," she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly.
Yes, sir. Right.
Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug. And she said, treat yourself like someone you loved.
Yes, sir.
Treat yourself like someone you loved. Now, I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me was the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I am not any more special or unique than you. That is why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it. Because you are worth it. And there is no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me, they are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection.
Yes, sir.
So start today.
Let's go,
Take
y'all.
a good, long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for.
Yes, sir. Let's go. I am who I've been. Let's go, y'all. All right, let's get this day started. Hold on, let's see. Stop looking. You already got it, baby. Let's go. All right, so on Healthy Mental Thursday, let me turn this PlayStation audio down real quick. All right, so on Healthy Mental Thursday today. How can this be? Sorry, y'all. Clicked the wrong button. What are we talking about? Let me go ahead and get this topic pulled up for myself so I can see the exact words, even though I just put it in there. All right, we just talking about our growth. All right, so anybody can see a tree grow outside. So this is what we're going to relate this to, in the sense of it's constant. You can't see it, but it's happening. And growth is synonymous with change, if you want to look at it that way. Now, all change isn't growth in your eyes, maybe, but let's try to get it that way. Let's try to think of it that way today. So let's start off simple today. What is growth? Here we go. That's good. How to grow.
I let AI manage my parenting. Now my kids can't escape. Being a mom is a full-time job. Keeping
All right, school of life. Let's go.
Our societies are attached to a phrase which it can be a bit too easy to assume we understand. The talk is of people growing and of having grown, which alludes to some kind of important psychological evolution and development. But what does growing in this sense really involve? What is it that we are developing a capacity to do when we so-called grow? And what are we leaving behind? And crucially, how might we train ourselves to grow a little more and a little more quickly? What we may essentially be pointing to with the idea of growth is the ability to stop responding to situations in the present through lenses unconsciously distorted by our psychological histories, and especially the quirks and biases bequeathed to us by our invariably somewhat complicated childhoods. A person who grows is likely to be able to look more fairly at other people and situations, and to recognize the extent to which they might be aggravating conflict or heaping unwarranted suspicion or ruining their chances, because they bear within them presumptions shaped by hard-to-recall experiences of loneliness, fear, betrayal, and humiliation. A person who has grown will more readily be able to check their first unhelpful responses to things and reach for a more complicated, objective set of explanations. It may not always have to be their companion's fault. Perhaps a mistake was, in this instance, innocent. It might be their role to say a small sorry. Maybe they've misunderstood what was really being meant. To grow is to acquire the courage for new sorts of questions. What if I were repeatedly defending myself against closeness and hope? Or what if I was using busyness to block encounters with my own mind?
Right.
Or what if I secretly maneuvered to end a relationship prematurely because I felt safe with feelings of isolation and rejection? Or what if I was running away from opportunities to show myself authentically to other people? These questions can, in personal life, be what we might in science describe as Copernican, questions that involve a fundamental rethinking of one's place in the order of things. The more one grows, the more one might have to give up a certain sort of confidence and certainty, not in the name of meekness or self-hatred, but for the sake of a newfound skepticism, a patient modesty, and a humorous readiness to wryly acknowledge error and admit to fragility.
Right.
A person who has grown might operate with a vivid sense of how much they misunderstand. They might appreciate their fear of intimacy and joy. They might more often say, "I don't know," or "Let me perhaps think more about that." Even sometimes, on really special occasions, they might say, "I think you may have a point." And they may be more receptive to friendships built around a recognition of vulnerability and anxiety. What spurs growth is, unfortunately, almost always pain. We grow because we were fired, and then, already shattered, we're finally able to look at what colleagues around us might have found difficult.
Great motivation. I am who I've been looking for. Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
About us
Zanita
for many
67,
years.
for chiming in on that.
We grow because we lost a major love, and at last, as we weep in a corner of the airport lounge, we see that we might have been far too guarded or demanding or frightened. We grow because, in an hour of need, we can't bear to be alone anymore and realize, as if for the first time, what friendship could really be for. The greatest sign of growth might be a readiness to calmly take on board the scale of one's silliness, how many basic things one's still learning, what a child one still is. A person who has grown won't see anything offensive at all, indeed will stoically accept the idea that they have been, very often indeed, over some quite major things, if we can put this politely, a bit of an idiot. And they will be intensely committed.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
If we can put this politely, a bit of an idiot. And they will be intensely committed to trying to be rather less of one in the precious time that remains.
Yes. Now that was
So
that
you did
last
the
bit.
thing. Or maybe
That last
you're
bit
thinking
brought it
about
home
doing
for
the
me.
thing. And
All right.
now you're
So we ain't gonna beat it down no more. We see what growth is, and it usually involves just a little bit of pain. But when you've grown, it's let's just take it like our example yesterday with the path. You're not gonna walk that same path that led you into the mud. If you don't want to be in the mud, you're gonna take a different path. So, and that shows growth. All right. So now that we know what it is, how to do it. They say how to grow up. Hey, I need this.
And alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video on the self-developed YouTube channel, guys. Now, if I'm not speaking too loud, it's because the brother is still sleeping upstairs. It's fairly early, but nonetheless, guys, get this video.
That's crazy. I can't even like or subscribe or nothing. My button was broke.
And alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video on the self-developed YouTube channel, guys. Now, if I'm not speaking too loud, it's because the brother is still sleeping upstairs. It's fairly early, but nonetheless, guys, let's get this video going. In this one, guys, we are speaking of the fastest way to grow up as men, or as a man, alright guys? Now, the reason I make this video is because as men, you know, this affects myself. It has affected myself greatly. It'll affect all of us men. It just does. There's no real clear distinction point of when a boy becomes a man, or you know, is a man still a man at this point? Is he a boy here? You know, you can see grown 50-year-old tangible physical men still in children kind of like, you know, mindsets. Does that make sense? And vice versa, you can see 15-year-old boys seemingly who are very mature and they take on more of this man characteristic, right? And the reason for this, guys, is because unlike women, you know, for the most part, they say that when a woman gets her period, that is more or less the sign of womanhood. That is when now a girl has transitioned into a woman. It's very clear, it's very distinct, it is an obvious sign, okay? Men, on the other hand, we don't get periods. We don't get tangible physical things that really transition us from one to the other, you know, so we're kind of left in the dark. Is it when you get your first car? Is it, I don't know, when you get muscles at the gym? Is it when you lose your virginity? Is it when you grow facial hair? Right? It's not as clear. So with that, it can cause problems. So the fastest way to grow up as a man, all right, guys? So the answer to this, guys, is taking full responsibility and ownership
Yes,
as
sir.
much as you can at that particular time. Okay? Now, what I mean, guys, is look, we're young, okay? If you're 15, 16, 17, I don't expect you to live on your own, be fully self-sufficient. I mean, hell, only am I now becoming that at around 22 years old. That's not what I'm saying. But when I mean take full responsibility and ownership of your life at that time with the capacity you have, it means just that. So as an example, if you're 16 years old, maybe you're working your part-time job, and let's say you get $200 a week, taking ownership and responsibility at that time would be maybe setting aside 30, 40 bucks to help your family with groceries, or to pay what you can at that time. Right? So maybe if you can pay your phone bill, maybe if you can pay, again, 30 bucks of your grocery bill. Look, I'm not saying you have to be fully self-sufficient. I'm not saying you have to be a millionaire. You have to be da-da-da-da. But at that time, taking responsibility and ownership at the capacity you are able to. I believe if you can do that, dude, I really don't think what age you are
really matters.
I think you are, in my opinion, you're a man.
Right.
You're a fully matured, self-sufficient man. Okay? And here's why. What I've noticed, guys, being one of the biggest problems in our society today, as far as, what do they call us, Generation Z or X, or, my age, right, is that, we get bashed to being very entitled, very needy, very spoiled, very this, very that. And I agree. I think a lot of us are, just for obvious reasons. We were coddled our entire lives, and I'm a victim of this. I get it, dude. This is why I'm saying this. I can speak to you guys. The reason that is happening is because we, at a particular age, again, it doesn't matter if you're 13, it doesn't matter if you're 25, it doesn't matter if you're fucking 40, but we as this generation are coddled and are essentially entitled because we are not taking that level of ownership or responsibility with the
that level of responsibility. That my man's right there. He only 22 when he had dropped this. So see how old he is. 4 years ago. He 26 now. We're gonna check out more of your channel, my brother.
But we as this generation are coddled and are essentially entitled because we are not taking that level of ownership or responsibility with the capacity we have at that time. So you're working your part-time job. Maybe you're making X amount, but you're still deciding not to pay what you can. Right? Does that make sense? Pay the 50 bucks, pay the 100 bucks for groceries, pay the phone bill, pay the gas. Okay? Dude, look, if you're dead broke, what can you do with that?
Right.
Maybe it means only 10 bucks, but it doesn't matter. You see, the level of money you have will depend the capacity you are able to take responsibility for. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So it really doesn't matter how much you have or how little you have. It's taking responsibility and ownership at that capacity.
Right.
That's why I keep saying at that capacity. Because, dude, I've been dead broke. I've been dead broke for years. Okay, living at my mom's house, barely having enough money to afford food. But at that time, man, if that meant me, as crazy as it sounds, or funny or silly, buying junior chickens, or, literally buying McDonald's, or maybe having enough for, like, cans of tuna, or frozen food, or maybe, like, pizzas, like, very cheap foods, at that time, that is me
That's what you can do.
doing what I can with the capacity I have. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Or now maybe I can, spend quite a bit more, but that doesn't matter. So that is it, guys. That is the end of the video. I hope that makes sense. The fastest way to grow up as a man is with what you have, taking ownership and responsibility for that, and paying your dues with the capacity
That you
have. It's not to be selfish. It's not to be entitled, because what that builds is very spoiled children who get, who won't put in work, and you can fill in the rest. So if you have enough, pitch in. Do what you can. Pay your dues, pay your bills with what you can at this time. That will build ownership, that will build responsibility, that will build maturity, that is going to build integrity. You'll grow up as a man, I guarantee you. Whether you're 15 or 35, does not matter, okay? That is what I think is the fastest way to grow up as a man. So hopefully that helps you guys. If it does, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to hear it. And as always, guys, on the final plugs, there's always one-on-one coaching if you guys would like to work with me. There still are some spots available. I love helping you men transform your lives as you guys help transform mine. There's the self-development course, which is a 4-hour-long course that's improving everything on your health, relationships, finding your passion, serving it to the world, or becoming self-developed as a man, guys. All right, you can learn everything down below. Oh, and as always, there is the workshop. We're running the one of August right now, but if you guys would like to join the one of September, where
at 22 years old. Let's see what he's doing now. Let's see how he's grown. David Hammond, that's my man's right there. Let's see where he at. Let's see his latest video. 10 months ago. Oh, 10 months? David, you done fell out. Your friends are holding you back. You will lose everything, bro. Men must get uncomfortable. Alright, hold on. Hold on.
Good morning, guys. Good afternoon, good
Look at my
evening.
boy.
Let's get it going. How are you doing? Welcome back to another video on the David Hammond YouTube channel, guys. I think this is going to be our new spot, honestly. I know the lighting dipped, guys. I'm going to be filming early in the future, don't you worry. And excuse, you might hear some kids in the background screaming. I can't control that, but hopefully the audio is, it's not too bad, guys. You know, it is kind of cute watching families, you know. This is like a little 2-year-old. Oh, he's gonna throw a sock. Oh, he just chucked it. Pretty strong kid, man. When I have kids, if I do, I'm gonna make them based, man. Feed them like steak smoothies, high fat, high protein diet, and no seed oils. None of this BS, guys. That's going to, you know, slowly kill them or turn them into little soybean monsters. So, anyways, with that said, guys, in today's video, I titled it, or believe I titled it, "You're Supposed to Be Lonely." Okay, guys. You know, this is kind of a common theme, a commonality that you will find. Where's my drink? There it is, guys. Speaking of things, yeah. You probably shouldn't drink a bunch of Monsters, but you know what? It is what it is. It's caffeine, guys. I'm willing to take the blow. You know, guys, there's this common theme that you will find as a follower of Christ, and that is, just like how it's dark here, guys, it will be dark in your life. It's going to be lonely. Like, literally look at this setting. I'm kind of all alone. I'm looking at some kids that sounded kind of weird, but, you know, there's some nice people over there. And on our journey as Christ followers, we will yearn at times for a family like that, for maybe, I'll be brutally honest with you guys, a more normal life. You know, there are many times where I'm literally Batman, guys. When you are a follower of Christ, you are modern day Batman. There's no question about it. And the thing with Batman, or
is it just
any of
me,
these
or
super
he talking too fast for me? That's how he's grown. He got it. Let me tell you, he got like 20-something K subscribers. So anyway.
So last night we used 10.
Honestly,
nothing better than when a guy breaks this out.
You know my wording. It's your wording. It's the wording. Let's see what my man's got to say. 26
I guess
seconds.
the most important thing for us as teachers is it allows us to get some clear knowledge about where the girls are at the start of the program and be able to monitor their progress.
Okay, and what we need. Let's see some shorts. I know the shorts will have it.
Pick one. When your friends start to say, "You've changed," remember, it's because they don't know how to say, "You've grown." Pick one. When your friends start to say, "You've changed," remember, it's because they don't know how to say, "You've grown."
Because I think...
Is there evidence of your growth? Is there evidence that you're happy?
It was. It definitely was. That was quick and to
Because
the
I think
point.
a great portion of our identity comes from the proof that we give ourselves of the things that we've done and said in the past. And so if we want to build towards a different version of ourselves, then it begins with accruing, stacking evidence that aligns with that future self. And so in some ways, break the plate. Take the shot. Get rejected.
Look,
because when you do that, then again, the worst case is you have a broken plate, but you didn't like that plate to begin with. Because I think a great portion of our identity comes from the proof that we give our...
Is there evidence of your growth? Is there evidence that your habits are helping you progress? Is there evidence? And only you can answer that.
Right.
Other people can encourage you and say, "Oh my gosh, you're growing. I see progress. I see growth." But do you see growth? Do you see it working for you? That's the first question. Is there evidence? Is there evidence of your growth? Is there evidence that your habits are helping you progress? Is there...
Welcome to today's Seed of Growth. Look for the evidence of growth. When doubt creeps in, look for the evidence of your progress. You're capable of way more than you realize. So, remember, seeds planted today, they grow into strong trees tomorrow, so keep cultivating your dreams, and I will see you next time.
Growth is the only evidence of life. Wow. Wow. That was deep. Growth is the only evidence of life. Let's see what she say.
I'm kind of a deal hunter. So
we use a Spectrum savings calculator today.
She looked like she
So
gonna
good
be
morning, my
regular, so I like
YouTubers and
regular
everyone
people.
in the world. Today is January the 13th. The time is now 10:02 a.m. It is a beautiful but chilly Sunday, and it's a Sunday morning, and it's bright and early. And you guys see me with my hood on today because in my apartment it is a little cold, and I woke up sneezing and stuff, so I just want to keep myself extra warm, guys. But moving forward, today's topic is going to be about growth is the only evidence of life, guys. So what I mean by growth is the only evidence of life. I mean, over the years, the only way for you to be able to tell that you're truly living a prosperous life is to not only experience new things and just have your trials and tribulations, but growth, growth, growth. It really is about you just getting better at what it is that you're doing. And if you feel like you're not, doing something that you're passionate about, you have to be willing to take that chance and that risk to do what it is that you love to do and grow over the years. Get better, get smarter, get wiser, get faster, because that is evidence that you are truly living your best life.
Now, one thing, hold on, that was awesome. When your friends say you have changed, it just means they don't know how to say you've grown. Exactly. And you don't see the tree getting taller outside every day, or you don't see, all you may see is the leaves fall off of it. But you definitely can see when you look at it that it's changed. And that's the only thing that sometimes people can call upon. They don't necessarily see the growth. And you have to look for the growth. You have to be, let's say your friend is a bank account. Like literally, your friend is a bank account. His name is bank account. The only way to see the growth of bank account is to invest in bank account. You would never know what bank account has or is how bank account is growing if you never invest in bank account. But if you invest in bank account, you know what's in there, you know what type of change or growth is going on. So you got to invest in people to see how they've grown anyway. All right, but I stopped this because I like to see regular people on these videos. I don't, and notice how it's people like me, it's people like her, and people like David that we just watched that are taking the time out of their day to reach inside of themselves and pull out something for the better of all of us. Like I can't say that it's hard and I can't say that it's easy, but I can definitely say that it's a select few people doing it, taking the time to speak about these things that are commonalities with all of us, but we don't have no landscape for the conversation
Not being
outside of,
afraid to
outside of YouTube shorts and expansion pack videos.
experience new things, not being afraid to take a chance. These are all evidence of growth over the years. Like I said before, there are times where, I had got fired from certain jobs that I thought was meant for me, but then other jobs came through and I ended up moving up at these other jobs. So those are signs to me, and that's evidence of me living a prosperous life, and that shows that there's growth in my life. And now I'm finally at a point where I'm doing something new, which is my YouTubing, but I really love to do it. And I feel like every day it's more growth because I'm shooting videos, I'm getting more subscribers, I'm getting more views, I'm getting more comments. So that to me is evidence of growth. So
Exactly.
I want you guys to take a look at your life, where you are right now in your life, and see if there's growth. Even, no, like whether it's relationships, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your job, whether it's your apartment. If you see that you are continuously moving forward, continuously growing, continuously getting better, that to me is evidence that your life is going in the right direction. If you're letting go of, old baggage and allowing new people to come into your life that's going to help you take your life to a whole new level, that to me is
Of
evidence of
growth.
growth. If you are at a point in your life where you're finally letting go of people who are no longer serving you any purpose, and you saying, you know what, I love you, but I have to let this friendship or this relationship go because it is not healthy for me, then that to me is
Evidence of
evidence
growth.
of
Even
growth.
though you letting somebody go, so even though you got to prune the tree, that allows it to grow more, and the pruning is what is gonna be your evidence that it can grow. Like, hey man, it's got too long. Beep, let me get it back right. So
You know, you guys have to start
taking
paying
away is growing too, y'all. Even if you gotta take something away to grow, hey,
more attention to what's going on in your personal life and stop focusing so much on other people's lives and what's going on around you. But take a look in the mirror. What's going on in your life beyond what people may see? You know, what's really going on. We need to be more aware of this, and we need to make sure that no matter what level or area in our lives we at, it has to be about growth and getting better and getting wiser and getting faster and getting smarter, because that's what our life is about. That's what's going to give our life a whole lot of meaning. That's what's going to give our lives some purpose, and that's what's going to make it better for us. You know, mentally and physically, there has to be mental growth as well. You know, mentally, you know, you have to get to a point where it's about you becoming your greatest and just being the best you can possibly be. And if that means letting go of things that, you know, are just not helping you, then that's part of us growing. That's the evidence of us growing. That's the growth right there. You know, so I just wanted to vlog about that because I want you guys to
and
know.
we appreciated you vlogging about that. All right, let's get another one. Evidence of destruction. Let's see. Okay, hold on. What is the opposite of growth? Does it have an opposite? Let's watch these two videos and see.
What is the opposite of flexible? If you've ever wondered what the opposite of flexible is, you're not alone. Understanding this can help you describe things more accurately and improve your communication. To start, let's think about what flexible means. It describes something that can bend easily without breaking, or something that can adjust to different conditions. Now, let's look at what words mean the opposite of this. One of the most common opposites of flexible is rigid. This means something that is stiff and does not bend easily. For example, a metal rod is rigid because it doesn't bend when you apply pressure. Another word is inflexible. This is similar to rigid but emphasizes that the object cannot be bent or changed. Imagine a piece of glass. It's inflexible because it will break if you try to bend it. Stiff is another antonym of flexible.
Okay, where we going with this, girl?
Unyielding is unyielding because it of flexible include firm, fixed, stubborn.
Okay, hold up. We gotta get something more than that. Ooh. What is the opposite of learned optimism?
What is the opposite of learned optimism? Imagine waking up each day with a sense of dread, convinced that nothing good will happen. This feeling can be overwhelming, and it is often rooted in how we interpret our experiences. To understand the opposite of learned optimism, we first need to grasp what learned optimism is. This concept, developed by psychologist Martin Seligman, refers to the ability to maintain a positive outlook in the face of challenges, based on the belief that one can influence outcomes through their actions. Now, let's consider the opposite of this mindset. The opposite of learned optimism is often referred to as learned helplessness.
Learned helplessness.
This term describes a condition where individuals feel powerless and believe that their actions have no impact on the outcomes of their lives. People who experience learned helplessness may have faced repeated failures or adverse events, leading them to conclude that they are unable to change their circumstances. Learned helplessness can manifest in various ways, including a lack of motivation, feelings of despair, and an overall negative outlook on life. This mindset can hinder personal growth and prevent individuals from taking action to improve their situations. And like learned optimism, where individuals see challenges as opportunities for growth, learned helplessness fosters a belief that effort is futile.
Right.
Understanding these concepts is essential for recognizing how our beliefs shape our experiences. By identifying the signs of learned helplessness, individuals can begin to challenge these negative thought patterns and work towards a more optimistic perspective. This shift can lead to improved mental health and a greater sense of agency in one's life.
All right. Now, let's bring this home because we're getting to the end of our day here on Expansion Pack. Let me get y'all this in here. So, adults that never grow up. Let's see what's up.
Are you really going to miss
Let's see what they
this?
say.
We do this training once a year. There's 800,000 to 1 million people that'll join.
Now I want to read you a story.
Look at Jordan Peterson.
All right, so let me give you a little background to this story. This story popped into my head in one chunk, like complete, which I thought was kind of interesting, but it was also a story that emerged in solution to a problem I'd been thinking about for a long time, because I was dealing with this guy who didn't want to grow up. So he's caught in a kind of Peter Pan situation. And Peter Pan, Pan means everything, eh? Pan, like pantheistic. And Peter Pan is a child who won't grow up. Now he's magical. Well, okay, fine. Children live in a magical world, right? They're rife with possibility. He's magical. He doesn't want to grow up. So he lives in Neverland with the Lost Boys. Neverland doesn't really exist, and the Lost Boys are obviously boys who haven't managed to establish some mode of being. And he's in constant battle with Captain Hook. And Captain Hook's a tyrant, right? A pirate, a manifestation of the negative archetype of social order. And Captain Hook is always fighting Peter Pan because Peter Pan represents childhood and vulnerability, and he doesn't want to be vulnerable. So they're locked in this sort of eternal battle. And lots of people, I think more commonly men, but not necessarily, get caught in this Peter Pan problem. So I was dealing with a person who was caught in this situation, didn't want to grow up, wouldn't sacrifice childhood. And so this story popped into my head. It's called Cock-a-Doodle-Doo. Once upon a time there was a man who had a long, hard journey ahead of him. He was trudging along the way over boulders and through brushes when he saw a little shiny gnome with big white teeth and a black toupee sitting by the side of the road. He was drumming on a log with two white bones and humming oddly to himself. The little gnome said, "John, why work so hard? Why walk so fast? Who knows if you'll ever get there anyway? Come over here, I have something to show you." So John walked off the road. He was sick of walking anyway because people kept throwing sticks and stones at him. Little gnome said, "I have a shiny red jewel that I would like to sell you. Cheap. Here it is." And from beneath his cloak he pulled the biggest ruby that the man had ever seen. It must have weighed 100 pounds and it shone like the sun. The gnome said, "Do you like it? It's an enchanted stone. What will you offer me for it?" And the man said, "I don't have much money, but I'll give you everything I have." The gnome looked displeased. So John added, "I could pay some more monthly." So the gnome accepted. "Fair enough. Buy now, pay later." "Sounds good for me. I'm all for the installment plan." So the man gave the gnome all his money and promised to pay the rest later. And the gnome walked back into the bush by the road, clacking his teeth and giggling and twitching. The more the man thought about this ruby and the great deal he got, the happier he became. He started back on the road with a light heart, but soon discovered that he couldn't make much progress because 100 pounds was a lot to carry. He said to himself, "Why continue anyways? I have what I want. I'll just stand here holding my ruby, and when people walk by, they can see how well I've already done." So he stopped. A little while later, one of his friends came along and saw him standing there. His friend said, "John, why don't you come along with me? I've just opened a new business and I could really use some help. Come along quick." It will be opening soon. John thought that sounded good, but his friend was in a hurry. Besides, couldn't he see the ruby? How could he speed along beside him? Where would he put his jewel? So he said, thanks, but I have to take care of my jewel. Maybe I'll see you later. His friend looked at him like he was crazy, but he was trying to get somewhere quick. So he just shrugged a bit and said, okay, John, see you later. Then he sped on down the road. A little while later, another friend came by and he said, John, nice to see you. I'm going back to school. There are lots of wonderful things to learn, great things to do. The world is full of unsolved problems. I could use some company. Would you like to come along? John thought that sounded pretty good, but this friend too looked like he was in a hurry. Besides, standing beside the road holding the jewel was tiring, and he needed all the energy he had for that. So he said to his friend, thanks, but I have to take care of my jewel. Isn't it beautiful? Maybe I'll see you later. His friend looked at him like he was crazy, but he was trying to get somewhere quick. So he just shrugged and said, hope everything goes all right with you. See you later. Many friends came and went, and the years went by. The jewel got heavier and heavier, but the man got more and more attached to it. The only thing was, nobody seemed to notice how beautiful it was. People would rush by and talk about their plans, and nobody had a ruby as big, and nobody seemed likely to get a ruby as big, and you'd think that someone might have said something like, at least, nice ruby, John. Sure wish I had one like that, but it never happened. Then one day, someone new came down the road. He was bent over and he was thin and his hair was gray, although he didn't look that old. He was carrying a big dirty rock carefully in his arms and he wasn't making much progress. The strange figure approached and glanced up at John. Then he grinned and said, why are you standing there so stupidly with a big ugly rock in your tired old hands? You look pretty daft. I bet you wish you had a big ruby like the one I am carrying.
Right.
And John thought, this poor man is deluded.
I do have
He's carrying a rock.
Right.
It is I who have the ruby. So he said, excuse me, sir, but you are sadly mistaken. I'm the one with the jewel. I met a little gnome by the side of the road, and he sold it to me. I'm still paying for it, although not so very much. You are carrying a rock. The tired stranger looked annoyed. He said, I don't know what game you're playing, mister. You have a rock. I have a jewel. The little gnome you described sold it to me, and he said it was the only one. I've been carrying it for 20 years. And I'll never let it go. And John said, but I've been carrying mine for 20 years too. Jeez. It can't be just a rock. Rock or jewel? On and on they argued. Suddenly out stepped the little gnome as if he'd never left. Only this time he wasn't so little. He was bigger and redder and menacing, and his laugh sounded like the rattling of chains. Quit arguing, you two. I've never seen a sight quite so pathetic. You're carrying rocks, both of you. And if you would have ever had the sense to put them down for a second or two, you would have seen that. Oh well, at least you were diligent. I played a mean trick. I feel bad. So I'm going to give you what you really deserve. Do you want what you really deserve? And John and the thin stranger nodded eagerly. Finally, they thought. You haven't seen anything yet. Throw down your rocks. So John and the thin stranger obeyed. Each rock split down the middle when it hit the ground. Out flowed a river of ravenous white worms which rushed towards the men and devoured them whole, while they thrashed about and screamed. Soon nothing was left except a leg bone from each. The little gnome picked them up and walked off the road. He sat down by a hollow log and started to drum. He drummed and he waited, and he hummed an odd little tune. A picture of food feeds the whole hungry clan. The image of good makes the whole healthy man. Why walk for miles? Why do the work? Just smile the smile. Success, after all, is a quirk. Life isn't real. That's the message I give. It's easy that way. Plus, who wants to live? So needless to say, the guy that I was telling this story to never listened to it, and things really didn't go well for him for a long, long time. And they really didn't go well for him until he was willing to give up some of the things he was carrying along. So he had acquired, for example, a number of things that he couldn't afford. And the fact that he was carrying them, right, paying for them month after month, meant he couldn't afford to get an education. was perfectly willing to sacrifice the possibility of getting an education for the image of success rather than the reverse, right? And he was completely irritated at the world because he had all these trappings of success, which no one he admired also admired, and he absolutely wasn't getting anywhere.
Right.
And he thought that was tremendously unfair. But the truth of the matter was that had he put down what he was carrying for even a moment, then he would have been able to get to where he wanted to go. And that's a motif that succinctly and dramatically describes the necessity for sacrifice.
Exactly. I enjoyed that story. I don't know about y'all. This will be long, but I enjoyed it only because there seems to be a commonality, no matter if you're a man or if you're a woman, in responsibility. And if your parents are feeding you with a spoon, the minute that you can pick that spoon up and feed yourself begins your responsibility to yourself. All right, y'all. This is the last thing you'll listen to.
Sherry is with us. Sherry is in Kentucky. Hi, Sherry. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure,
I have
what's
a
up?
quick question.
Okay.
All right, I have a 32-year-old daughter, very bright daughter. We put her through college once, and she got her degree. We are now putting her through barbering school, and she's 6 months in. She still lives at home. Never been married. Loves it at home. We started cutting the strings 2 years ago, and we told her she had 2 years to decide to go to school, get through school, and get out on her own. So December 31st is her exit date.
Good.
Well, she thinks that we are kicking her out. And that, you know, no matter what we do, we're not convincing her that we're doing this for her own good.
That's okay.
And my question is, how do I let her know that we love her and this is the best thing? She has an amazing boyfriend, that he's Christian. He's asked her to marry him, wants to buy her a house, wants to start a life with her. They love each other, but she's not wanting to move. So how do my husband and I help her transition into her life, whatever she chooses to do?
For whatever reason, she is choosing to not hear you. You've already told her all of that.
Yeah, we told her, and we told her she has to save her money. We're not giving. We were giving her $100 a week for school, get back and forth with gas because she could only work part time.
Yeah.
We've quit that. We've cut that completely out.
Yeah.
We don't give her any financial assistance at all.
You are underperforming as a 32-year-old in our culture. Dramatically underperforming.
I agree.
Which means that we have done you harm by allowing you to live here. I'm so sorry we've brought you harm.
You gotta go.
I just love you too much to harm you anymore. You need to go be your own person and have the dignity of hard work and paying your own light bill and buttering your own bread on both sides after it comes out of the toaster. This is ridiculous.
Okay. Now, how often should we ask her, are you putting, she gets paid every week, and how often should we ask her, hey, are you saving money? Hey, are you doing what you need to do? Or
Does she have, do you know if she has any money?
No, none. She has zero. If it wouldn't be for her boyfriend, she wouldn't have anything.
Okay, so here's what I would tell her.
She spends money like crazy.
Here's what I would tell her. You have to move next week unless you agree to save money out of every check and show us that you're saving money. Your rent is starting right now, and your rent is that you have to save money.
Okay.
If you're not willing to save money out of every check, you have to move next week. I'll be homeless. I'll be in the street. I know. You'll figure it out.
That's what I'll.
You'll figure it out.
That's what I will hear.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. I know it's rough, but listen, we've talked to you.
Hey, y'all older generation parents is going through it, man, because y'all going through it.
And talk to you, and talk to you.
I'm trying, Mom. Not even I'm trying. I see the value in buttering my toast on both sides if I want to after it come out of the toaster, if I want to, and living on my own because I want to. I see the value in that, and I see the value in the fact that you took the time out to get me here. I see the value in you yourself, living on your own, waking up and not looking at my black ass walk around. Yes, yes, I see the value.
And you're acting like you're a 12-year-old child, and it is time
Exactly.
for you to grow up.
Exactly.
This is what it would sound like at our house.
Yeah. Well, it's going to sound like that here, too. We put her through Financial Peace University. I bought the book, bought the audio book. She won't re-listen to it. Created a budget planner for her, but if she doesn't use it, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, she refuses to participate in adulthood.
Exactly.
And, gosh, I don't know.
So just push her
Yeah,
out.
I would just say, listen, if you bring me your check on Friday, and I want to see the money set aside out of your check into savings, or you have to leave on Friday. I am done. I have begged you and begged you. I've done stuff for you. We've paid for everything. This is over the top. We're bringing you harm. We're buying your misbehavior. We're paying for your misbehavior for you to continue to be an underperforming 32-year-old. I just love you too much to participate in your crazy land.
Okay.
I'm not going to participate in crazy anymore. This is nuts.
That's what my husband and I think as well, because, I mean, it's just, you know,
You guys are very
moving
sweet and
forward.
very kind, and you've let it go on too long.
Yeah, I agree. We both agree. We've been trying to do the right thing.
Imagine if 3 people, tough love is good for the adult child. And it's not tough love. It's just you know the value in taking care of yourself. If you want to take care of yourself in the way that you want to take care of yourself, there's value in that. And the value is that you don't have to ask anybody to be able to take care of yourself. And so putting us in that position as y'all children is the best thing for us. And I just look at it as a wild animal out there. You gotta domesticate, or you gotta break the wild animal into seeing that the best thing for them is not to listen and do what I'm telling you per se, but it's to do what you're telling yourself. And if you're telling yourself to do nonsense, you need to do that nonsense over there where you can do it wherever you and however you want to. Because that's the best life for you, doing what you want to do for you. Well, we're out of here for today, and I appreciate y'all for chilling with me on Healthy Mental Thursdays here on Expansion Pack. I really...
This need for stimulation isn't a choice. It's how our brains work. Some tasks naturally...
I really am doing something that is great here for us all, and I need y'all support. If you want to support in any way, any kind, just make sure you watching, make sure you comment, make sure you conversing and adding to what we doing here, the talk that we have in here, expanding your mind, finding your roots so you can grow. I will not have a show on for y'all tomorrow. Fun Fridays will not happen tomorrow. I have a few things I need to do. So I'll see y'all next week on Mindful Mondays. Yeah, Mindful Mondays. And it's been great. I'm going to play the rest of this for y'all as I'm headed out. And this is DGTA TV. See y'all next week. Peace.
Someone will see our house and soon can give us the motivational planks we need to clean it up. And sometimes we don't even...
Set some real clear boundaries with some real clear timelines, but she's still not listening. And God help this boy if he marries her.
Why's that?
She needs to go out on her own and suffer just a little bit before she's marriage material. This is not a marriage. I mean, can you imagine trying to raise this princess for the rest of her life? Bless his heart.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, he's got she's not ready for marriage. She's not a viable adult yet. And so none of this is you being mean or me being mean. I'm being a little bit smart aleck, but it's just to reinforce what the inner voice is inside of you. You've been saying these exact same things to yourself, and I'm just trying to reiterate with my causticness that you're not crazy.
Right, because she makes us feel guilty that we're doing something wrong, and really we feel we're doing something right.
No, you have. Yeah, that'll work too. I'll go with that.
You know how expensive a 25-year-old girl is? No.
I love it. You're
No.
great. You're fun. Well, you know what to do. It's just very, very hard to do with people you love who are misbehaving. Whether it's
Right. And,
parents, whether it's parents or brothers or sisters or kids, grown kids or whoever it is, it's very difficult when adults are misbehaving and you can't make them do things. The only thing you can make someone do here is not live in your house.
Right.
And just say, you know what, we've decided that we made a mistake. December's not going to work for us. You have to leave by Friday if you don't start saving money. If you save money out of every check, a substantial amount, 50% of every check, starting immediately, you can stay as long as you prove to us that you're doing that and you haven't spent the money. If you do not do that, the first week you do not do that, you have to move out.
I know her boyfriend now, her checks are direct deposited into his savings account, and he's putting aside $200 off of every check.
So she is saving
her.
money.
Right. Well, that just started like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, that's a good sign because at least she'll have a little bit of money to move out with then.
That's what we're hoping.
But
if
he's
she
become
decides
her new
not to
parent.
do it- Yeah. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. He's trying not to allow that to happen. He's trying to get her to come to him
Yeah.
for advice. But he's got a credit score in the high 800s.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to financials, he's really good at it.
Yeah.
She just isn't.
Yeah.
And never has been.
She just doesn't produce. The bad news is that she's way underdeveloped emotionally. The good news is she can catch up fast. So a little bit of being out there, and I would tell him, please don't marry her until she has proven herself to be an adult, because I love her too much for her to go through a divorce. And honestly, son, she'll drive you nuts.
Getting a pre-approval for a home as well.
Who is?
But I don't think her and her boyfriend.
Well, she doesn't have an income. Well, she has a little bit of an income. Yeah, they don't need to buy a house together. That's suicide. You don't buy a house with someone you're not married to ever. So, wow, what a mess.